Welcome to Toffee TV. We're talking about Henry Onyekuru. He has been linked with a move to Bayern Munich. This video is sponsored by OneFootball. OneFootball's app. It makes it easier to find all the latest scores, stats and news, like is Henry Onyekuru going to Bayern Munich? To download the OneFootball app, click the link in the description. So we've been wondering over the last few days about whether we should keep Henry Onyekuru. We got some news today regarding his future. Some links, especially from Colin Udo, who is who's a Nigerian journalist. He was also the media man for the Nigerian team, so he has got good links. And he said today that there is a deal in principle with Bayern Munich. I don't know what that exactly means in principle. Maybe the outline of how much he would cost and what the player wants. But does it look like we're never going to get to see Henry Onyekuru in an Everton shirt?
Seems that way, doesn't it? I still will be a bit disappointed if that's the case, if we don't get to have a look at him, because I feel as though he's 21, he's not 22 till June. He's averaging, his record's averaging around almost one every 2 games. I know it's Belgium and I know it's Turkey, so it's not the Premier League. And you have to look at that, obviously. And, you know, we've had Cenk Tosun from Turkey and it hasn't quite translated to scoring the same amount of goals in England. But when you look at some of our wide players who haven't got a goal in them, it'd be a little bit frustrating if we don't even get him over and have a look at him. Now, there is obviously factors behind the work permit. I'd read some stuff a few weeks ago saying, oh, well, if he plays all the AFCON games, he's sorted.
Yeah.
But someone that put something up yesterday, the actual details of it, and even if he plays the AFCON games, he's in the low 40s.
Yeah.
To get a work permit, you've got to be 75% or above. So Everton would have to go down the special talent route, which means in some cases means nothing.
Yeah. So
there's obviously still problems with the work permit situation. I'm not saying Everton won't apply for it, but this is a fella who we signed 2 years ago, spent time out on loan, and maybe Everton are looking and going, is it worth it if someone wants to pay money?
Well, number one, Marcel Brands didn't buy him. You know, Marco Silva inherited them as a player. So from that point of view, you can understand why they might look at him and go, well, it's another player we've got that we didn't buy. And if they don't fancy him, which it clearly looks like they don't fancy him, otherwise they'd be trying everything to get him in the summer. You know, you mentioned that about the work permit, but you know, you got to remember as well that he missed half of last season through a knee injury. He missed the World Cup through a knee injury, and that's something that Everton could put to a work permit board. So there are ways around it, you would imagine. There's another year on loan as well that he could probably go back to Galatasaray. But I suppose if he goes another year on loan, it's another year of his contract lost, and his value would, even though Everton would get a fee and have been receiving fees for while he's been on loan, you're looking at another year lost. And in terms of how much he'd be worth, Everton might think, well, he'll be at his strongest this year. He's had a great season at Galatasaray. He scored the winning goal to get them the league. And if someone like Bayern Munich are coming in for him,
scored in the cup final as well.
Yeah, if someone like Bayern Munich are coming in for him, who are trying to rebuild and might think, well, he's someone we could bring in. We don't have to worry about the work permit situation maybe as much. We can give him games. We've got more competitions to play him in as well. You know, he's already played Champions League football already, so Everton might look at him and think, you know what, we paid 6 million quid for him. We could get 25 million quid for him, because that's what Everton should be asking for, really, isn't it, realistically?
He's got 3 years left on his contract, a young striker, scores goals, so why not? You know, if Liverpool can get 20 odd million for Solanke, you know, then why, you know, he's owned by a Premier League club. That's what we should be asking for. But Everton will look, and you're right, Brands and Silva might have had a look at him and gone, yeah, I'm not really sure. And if we're not sure, then let's cut our losses if someone comes in. That'll go into the FFP pot, because it's a big you know, set of money back into the club. We weren't using it anyway. It wasn't like we were a man down in the squad. And that may be the route they take, because like you said, he wasn't bought by them in the first place. But from a fan's perspective, it's frustrating when you see him scoring a lot. You know, we got 16 this season in all competitions. When you see him scoring that many goals, you just think, and he's quick, he is very quick, you just think, he could do us a job.
I think he's cut out, though, for the rigours of the Premier League. He only... I mean,
look at his legs there.
I've met him.
Yeah.
And he's tiny.
Yeah.
He's tiny. He really is.
But then Bernard's...
No, I know. That's the decision they've got to make, isn't it? Because another thing that Marco Silva was asked, wasn't he? And he said, well, we've got 4
right-footed wingers, yeah.
And so
he'd be another
he almost spoke about him like he wasn't our player. Like, you know, when you get asked, oh, you're interested in this player, and he's like, oh, you know, it's like he's our player. You know, you don't have to be hands off about him. But he was standoffish about the whole thing. So that strikes me as someone who's like, well, I haven't got to see him, and I don't know what, because the other players, I suppose, the likes of Vlasic and everyone, the managers had a chance to look at those players and see firsthand. With him, it might just be a case of, we'll cut our losses and move on.
I mean, it sounds like that. I mean, you know, we'd had that thing a few weeks ago, haven't we? Paul Joyce had said that he was going to be brought back into the squad, him and Vlasic, and they'd be assessed. But there seems to be a change of tack now with that, and it was when he was asked about him last week. He was quite dismissive of him almost. It was a bit like, yeah, I haven't made my mind up, but we've got 4 lads who can play that position anyway. Which makes you think that decision's already been made. And now it's a case, you know, we've had them moving to Dortmund, we've had them staying at Galatasaray, now it's Bayern Munich. So there's clubs who want him.
Why do these clubs all want him then?
Well, because I don't think they don't have issues with work permits, do they? In other countries?
Not like ours.
It's not as stringent in ours, so
ours
therefore...
They get worse as well.
Yeah. So that's a bit weird. And maybe they've watched them all season and thought, yeah, he can add something to us. I've seen a few things about Bayern Munich though. They've got Serge Gnabry who plays wide. They've got Alphonso Davies, the young lad, the young Canadian kid. They've got Kingsley Coman who plays wide. So it won't be cut and dry them getting in their team.
Do you think though the way they look at it is for them it doesn't really matter? Almost like how we should look at it, or maybe how we did look at it, like when we bought him. He was a young talent. He was worth the risk for such a low amount of money because you knew he'd make profits, and maybe think they're maybe looking at the same way, thinking, well, if we get him, bring him in for a couple of years, if it doesn't work out, we'll get our money back on him because he'll have that sort of buying, you know, like at any big club, you know, Chelsea do it all the time, don't they? They buy players and then they add the Chelsea tax, and suddenly a player you bought for a couple of million quid, it goes and ends up being like 10, 15, 20 million quid.
It's a gamble, isn't it? They take a gamble on him, he does well. He's in the team, he doesn't do well. You know, they can use all that thing and say he's played Champions League football, he's played for Bayern Munich. Well, but again, this one will stick in my throat a little bit, I think, if he goes without us looking at him.
Well, it's that thing of not seeing him, isn't it? Not being able to judge with our own eyes.
Judgment,
especially if it turns out that he's a good player, which could easily happen, that he ends up and we all turn around and go, well, why did we do that? But I suppose it's the time and the place. We've had this before, haven't we? We're having it now a little bit with sort of like Delafeu, even though we all seen him ourselves. He's, you know, someone else is getting almost the fruits of our labour. You know, you've looked at people like Eric Dyer in the past and Mustafi that were let go really young. The way they progressed would never have happened at Everton. We've seen other, you know, you watch some players need to be cut adrift for their own sake to play games, but when they're being cut adrift to go to teams like Bayern Munich, you're starting and hang on. But
well, we either trust the management team or we don't, and they've given us no reason not to trust them, have they? But it might simply be like you said. It could simply be they don't think he's cut out for the Premier League, another league that's a little bit slower and his pace is great. No, I mean we've seen Adam Ola-Luckman tear it up for Leipzig in Germany. You know, Jadon Sancho, I know he's in the England side now, but he's been brilliant. There's a couple of other Arsenal kids who are over there doing really well. And maybe the European leagues just a little bit slower enables fellas who aren't massive to progress. In
Germany, the way of looking at things is they are buying very similar players. I know they don't want it to be like that. And if you check out the Footy Show on Patreon, you'll see more about that. But they obviously don't they want to compete with the big leagues, but they're not. So they're going, well, so everyone's in the same boat. Buy young, buy not inexpensive, but cheaper than someone who's already, and by them all sort of doing that together, they're making this fast, energetic, exciting league, and they obviously think that Henry Onyekuru could be a major part of that.
Obviously, you know, the amount of clubs he's been linked with show you that, and the names of the clubs he's been linked with. So it does make you feel a bit like, are we doing the right thing here? But we'll have to see. I mean, listen, Everton could come out and go, actually, no, we're applying for a work permit for him, and we'll see how it goes. But
if they do sell him, and then suddenly they go out and get someone, and you're like, oh, you know.
Well, we haven't seen him, have we? It's not like we've had him for a bit and then he's gone out and loan him and go and get him back, and we've not seen him. So Everton, you know, I just look at him and I look at Walcott, and I know it's never straightforward like this, but I look at Walcott and think he's 30.
Yeah.
And I look at him and think he's 21. I know I'd rather have now, you know. So,
yeah.
But that's the way it is.
Maybe they just want someone else.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If they've got a different winger who's right footed coming in, he might go, well, there's literally no room for him. Even if we get rid of Walcott, he's not going to be the one who plays. So
there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Would you keep Henry Onyekuru? Would you try and get him into the club, even if it's just over the pre-season, to see what he's got in the locker? Or are you thinking maybe like the Everton management and thinking he's not for us, we'll take the money and get someone better? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Give this video a like. Tell everyone you like this video. Tell YouTube you like this video. If you haven't subscribed, please do click the bell for alerts, and if you want more great videos like the Footy Show where we've discussed the Bundesliga, join us over on Patreon. We'll see you later.